All right, so we have over here. You are Zoe this game. So I'm looking at your OPGG. You're silver 4. You're in series for silver 3, which is great. You stay back on you. You looks like you've actually started playing Annie since this review, so that's good. You're on a 6-win streak with Annie, so just keep playing. Obviously, you found your groove. You found a new champion you like. You're doing pretty well on, so definitely stay with Annie. However, I will still go over this gameplay for you, and maybe I'll try to focus more on macro things and less mechanical things with Zoe, because it seems like you've moved on, so I can try and help you more on that front. Let's see what's going on. So you're going against an Annie, actually. That'd be interesting. They have a Nasus jungle.
Minions have
okay. Lucian, Sona, Caitlyn, Soraka. Okay. Zach, Riven. So right off the bat, trying to analyze this matchup, your one advantage is your range. You have way more poke range than Annie does, and if you get up close to her, you know from playing her now, she's just gonna stun you, right? So what you want to do is keep your poke range and use that to your advantage and stay out of Annie's range for her abilities, because you should be able to poke her down without her even hitting you. And then once she gets low enough, you could probably go in for an all-in with your E. Alright, this is fine. Now what you want to try and do is zone her off the wave if you can. If you can create a level advantage, that'd be huge for yourself. So there's your 2. You want to You want to get E, step up to the front, and zone her off the wave immediately. So okay, this is the one exception. So realize I said a second ago you don't want to stay in range of Annie. However, in this scenario, this is an exception where it's so early in the game and you got level advantage. So we're gonna watch this back again.
Within my grasp.
Oh, back to you. So you get level 2 here. I think it's on either this minion or the minion after. Yeah, 2. Okay, so once you get level 2, your job is to now stand right here. That's an awful drawing. Stand right here and zone Annie off the wave, because you have your E, or you should have your E in your Q, right? So if you hit her with the E, she basically gets chunked out and possibly dies, and she knows that, so she's going to back off. So as long as you stand somewhere like right around here, she has to stand this far away from you at least, if not further back, and that's going to zone her off of all of these minions that she wants. So your goal now that you know you have this, is called pressure. Now that you know you have this lane pressure, that you can walk from here up to here, and she can't do anything about it. If she stays here, you hit her with an EQ. If she goes back, she's safe, but she gets no minions. So because you're forcing her to basically, if this is her minion line, to stand like basically right here, what you want to do is you do not want to attack her minions at all. You want to do something called a slow push. Is that you want to keep her here in this situation and give her the max amount of chances to mess up. And later on in the game, you might not want to do this depending on how strong the Nasus is, because by you sitting basically in this circle, this is like where Nasus wants to gank you, but a level 2 Nasus jungle is not going to gank you right now with anything significant. So for right now, this is perfectly fine. So if you stay here and force Annie to go back here, she's either A, going to get impatient and walk up anyway and tank a trade from you, or B, she's going to stay back here, and since you're slow pushing the wave, and what slow push means is that you don't damage these minions at all, except when they get down to the last sliver of health, you auto attack them for the CS gold. And what this does is that it keeps the minions fighting as long as possible, which keeps the wave right here as long as possible. Let's do this. It keeps the wave right here as long as possible, which means Annie has to stay back as long as possible. See how that, like, it adds up? If you were to try and kill this wave right now, that means that your minions would have nothing to fight, and they'd start walking toward the tower, which lets Annie sit right here and farm minions under tower, which is not what you want, because you want to starve her of the farm and XP, creating a lead for yourself. If she's all the way back here, and her minions are dying to, and your minions are dying to her minions, she's not getting the golden XP for them. If you push the wave by killing these, and your minions walk on her tower, she's going to get all the golden XP by farming her tower. So that's a difference. So you are in a great position right now. I'm going this in depth on explaining it. Like I said a second ago, I want to do more macro stuff because I'm looking at your OPGG. You've clearly moved on. You're not really playing Zoe anymore, which is perfectly fine. But that means that I want to focus on stuff that can help you no matter what champion you're playing at all, and is not specific to Zoe. So this is a good situation. And then, like I said, so this whole, you have the level advantage. You can't see it, but she's level 1. You can see it over here, which tells you that you can do this. And it's so early in the game, you're not worried about an Nasus gank. Because you're not worried about an Nasus gank, it's okay to stand here and shove her off. So these are all like the little things that have to line up, and once they do, it tells you that you want to do this. Okay, let's get back to watching. Okay, so see how, just like I said though, so since you didn't do that, since you stayed back here, Annie was able to come up here, get some farm, and then go back to safety. And she's going to keep doing that, like come in, get some farm, and go back over and over again. That way she doesn't lose anything. And she's doing that because you're so far back, you can't hit her with anything. Your abilities don't go through minions as Zoe. So if she's sitting in this clump of minions, you have to either angle your Q around or walk yourself and then throw your E at an angle. So it's much better for you once you have this level advantage, which you don't have anymore when you did have it, to stand up here. That way you can just ding her with your abilities right away. Now, that being said, if you were to go up here, I'm just tangent, and miss, let's say you go here and you miss an E, you need to immediately back off. Because your whole pressure in being able to do a lot of damage to Annie depends on you hitting your E, hitting the auto, hitting the Q, hitting the auto, and then walking away. If you miss that E, then Zoe says, oh, I can, not Zoe, then Annie says, oh, I can outdamage Zoe, and she's going to walk right up to you. But it's all dependent on you hitting or missing that E. But until you throw it, you should be able to stand like right here and zone her off, but she's going to be afraid of it. This is called, there's a term for this. Basically, the gist of it is you can apply pressure with abilities you haven't used yet. A really good example is if you're playing Lux. Everyone knows about Lux Bind, right? Lux's Q. So if Lux Bind is still up, if your enemy still has Lux Bind, you're going to stay further back, just naturally, because you're afraid he's going to hit it. But if he whiffs it at you and you dodge it, now you're going to press forward because you know you're not in danger of it anymore. It's the exact same concept here. You're pressuring Annie off with the knowledge that you have your E and you can chunk her with the E. But once you whiff it, you have to walk away because Annie's no longer afraid of you. That was, I know that was a tangent, but that was like saying if you did do what I was telling you and stepping up here, the next step is to watch those abilities and play off that. That was a good trade. Got some chunk damage off. Be careful about going too far into the tower here. So, you see she has in her stun up, and you'll know that from playing her now. If you walk, so tower range is gonna be like right around here. If you're kind of like dipping in and out of here, and you get caught stunned here, you're gonna get one shot by the tower and the Annie, and you're probably gonna die. So just be very careful about staying too far up here. There's no reason to. Alright, now you want to slow push. So now you lost, or slow push. What I mean by that is just slow hit the minion, let it push toward you. So you lost the level lead, right? 2-2. So you no longer have that advantage we had before. So your goal is no longer to try and pressure her on the tower. It's to let the wave come back and reset so you can play. Because now that you don't have an advantage, you are worried about the jungler situation. Because it's not minute 1 of the game anymore. And you no longer have the ability advantage. So since your Zac is not near you, you cannot step up in pressure. So if Zac was like right here, you can do whatever you want because you know if something happens, he's gonna come in. But he's not, so you need to be very careful. So what you want to do here is let the wave push back out. That way it resets back in the middle, and you and Annie can have a safer fight in the middle of the lane, and then you can monitor where the junglers are and how the levels go. How you do that is you see Annie's pushing her wave. She was casting her abilities and the minions, and she'll keep doing that. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minions. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So she has more minions than you, which means her minions will naturally push forward because they'll just be doing more damage to each other than yours would to her. The trick is that 2 of hers are really low, so pretty soon it might even out. So what you want to do, same idea as that slow push I told you earlier, where you want to basically let the minions attack each other as much as possible, and then you only come in for the last hits. That way you get the gold from killing the minions, but you don't do any extra damage to push the wave forward. You're banking on Annie AFK pushing this wave into you. So as long as you're barely hitting it, she's going to push it into you. And that's how you can get the wave to push back out. Now, if she's not doing that, let's say in a scenario that Annie also has a similar idea, and she's trying to counter that by, you notice she's not hitting the minions, and she's doing the same thing you are. She's letting the minions kill each other and only last hitting them. Then that means that it's not going to naturally push out because you two are doing the same thing, so you're evening out, so the wave is going to just basically stay where it is. What you need to do now is switch your strategy. It's called hard pushing and resetting. So again, this is only if Annie is not attacking the minions. Again, I'm explaining all this because I want it to really help you with all these different situations, macro and gameplay wise. So now you need to do what's called hard pushing. So hard pushing is saying that, okay, well, I still want the wave to reset here, but if I just slow hit the minions, Annie's also slow hitting, so it's not going to go anywhere. So what you want to do is basically the exact opposite. Is you want to kill all these minions as fast as possible, and that way it forces your wave to walk under turret, and the turret will kill it for you. Even if Annie gets some farm as well, the turret will kill the minions for you, and now 0 minions to 0 minions, the wave will naturally both come back from base and meet in the middle, and that's how you can reset the wave. So remember, there's 2 ways to reset this wave. One is to slow hit, and you just gotta hope that Annie's attacking her minions, and if you don't attack yours, the wave will naturally go this way. 2 is to hard reset. So if she's not doing that, and if you're both slow hitting, the wave's not going to move anywhere because you're both doing the same speed. So you need to do the exact opposite, which is kill every single minion in sight and push it as fast as possible under that turret, because your minions will walk under turret when hers are dead. The turret will speed up the killing process and kill the minions. She'll lose a couple farm, which is always good, and then her wave will go back there from base, and your wave will go right there from base, and it will meet right in the middle. And that's how you can reset the wave. Watch her stun. So you're both level 3. Make sure you get the cannon. So that's fine. So she's holding her stun. Okay, so similar idea as what I was telling before, but you can hold your E to pressure her. She's holding her stun to pressure you. So she knows, and again, you probably know this, you've been playing Annie for the last few days. She knows that if her stun is up and she walks forward, you're going to be afraid and walk away. But she's purposely not going to cast an ability to keep that stun up. She's holding that stun because as long as she has it up, she can just walk forward and you have to walk back. She's pressuring you out. So that was what I'm explaining that with the Lux example, and how you can do that with your E early on too, is that if you're holding that ability that they know is going to chunk them out, they have to react to it, or else they just get chunked out. So for that reason, it's just the same idea. I wanted to point it out. Okay, this is fine. So now she shoved the wave into you. So this is almost going to be the opposite point, because your wave's going to go about right here. This wave's going to go about right here, and they're going to meet right on the edge of the turret aggro. So now we're in the exact opposite spot where she has you here, and you're trying to kill these right at this angle. You can freeze this. So she's going to probably try and fight it. and block the freeze, but you can freeze this and kind of keep the wave here, where almost the exact opposite of what I was saying earlier. Like some ideas though, where if you want to, remember how I told you if you're fighting the minions at the same speed that Annie is, they'll stay in the same spot. That's kind of what you want to do here, is that if you see that she's killing some of your minions, you want to kill the same amount of her minions. That way the numbers always stay even and the wave doesn't move. It stays right here. Because if you can hold the wave here, look where Annie has to stand. She's all the way up here in the wave. This is the easiest gank in the world for your Zac. Go right here, hops over, and you kill the Annie instantly. Right? Zac can come from this angle, he can come from this angle, this hop. He can do whatever he wants. If you can hold the Annie here and make her stay here, she's going to be dead to Zac. This is where you start spam pinging Zac and you freeze the wave here. However, the only thing to note is that because this happened with extra, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know there's 6 more minions here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can freeze this for a little bit, but eventually these minions are all going to stack up. They're going to have to get pretty crafty, which that means is that when I said you want to kill the minions at the same rate that Annie is, think about it more like you want to make sure the minions on both sides, blue and red, match. And if anything, you might actually want a few extra minions just to letting them hit each other. That way you can have time for the next waves to kind of come from base and even this out. So you're probably not going to be able to freeze this, but I just want to explain the concept. If you can try and delay the push, you'll keep Annie here for longer. The longer she's here, the easier it is for her to get ganked. So that's a mid lane wave strategy. You're not going to be able to freeze this because she's going to walk up to it and shove this, and it's going to reset. But whenever you see this spot, your goal is just to delay the push as long as possible and ping your Zac to come kill the Annie who's over pushed in lane, because she has to stay here. This is the exact situation you were in earlier when you were up here and this was you and Annie was here and I was drawing the lines. But remember how I told you that was so early in the game, you weren't worried about Nasus at that time, so you didn't care that you were here. Now the junglers matter, so Annie does not want to stay here. This is a very bad spot for her to be in, especially because you know she has not warded yet. She has not walked. Oh my god, she has not walked up or down the wave yet, so you know it's unwarded and it's fairly safe. Fairly unsafe for her. Fairly safe for your Zac to come and get a gank off. Alright, so Annie has no stun up. So we have no mana. Okay, so if you had mana, that would have been a good spot to trade, because she had no stun, so she wouldn't have been able to get a full trade off on you. Always try to be looking for that, no matter who your opponent is, whether it's Annie or not. Being able to... Every single champion has a key ability that kind of lets them do their combo or lets them do their trade or is the most powerful. You want to look for windows where that ability is not available. Like right now, she has no stun. And that's when you want to trade with them. See where it's waving back and forth in lane. So not much has happened yet. We can't really do anything, right? Because we haven't backed. We're still just kind of going back and forth in lane. Zac's thinking he wants to gank, but then you pushed. Okay, hold on. Let's punch this back again. Okay, so see how you have the lane here? Same idea as before. You want to keep it here as long as possible and ping the Zac over, because it forces Annie to step up to here if she wants these minions. So don't hit these. Alright, so Zach pinged. So now, even more so, you want to not hit these at all, because you know Zach's coming. And your goal is to keep Annie pushed as far up as possible. That way that you can get the gank off on her. So yeah, don't do this. This is very wrong. Okay, so see what you just did? So Zach said he's coming. He's on his way. He pinged you. Yet Annie was standing right here. Because what you just did, now she's all the way back here. This, and she's gonna keep running, right? This is way harder for Zach to gank. So this is not what you wanted to do. Now, Annie's under tower, where before she was all the way up here. And Zach just got here. So if you didn't do that, Annie would probably still be somewhere in this area right here, and Zach could gank her. So you just lost a free kill on Annie because you pushed the wave. So I want you to try and see that, because that's nothing to do with Zoe. Yeah, and now Zach has to leave because Zach's not going to gank her on the tower. So I don't know if you watched the mini map, but Zach was here, he went up to here, and then he turned back and went down again when he noticed that Annie was under turret now, because he's not ganking that. So I want you to see that so you can fix that for future games, because you would have just had a kill on Annie and been... You would have been able to get the kill, shove the wave back, and reset, and you would have been able to buy items and have a huge advantage over her. And that's when you can use your poke as Zoe. Once you get an advantage over someone, you use your poke to force them off the wave and lower their golden XP. Okay, so you buy... After, okay, that's fine. Anyway, okay, so we're just going really back to farming. So you want to be taking more advantage of your poke. So I'm not going to do too many Zoe tips, but just for this example, notice how nothing's been happening this whole laning phase, because your whole advantage as Zoe is you have two ranged abilities that are much further range than Annie. Annie can go from here to here. You can go from here to here with your E and your Q, right? Especially now that you have R. So you want to be poking her out as much as possible and getting that health lower and lower and lower. And eventually, it's going to get low enough where she's scared of getting one shot, and you can just walk up to the wave and force her to back off, which is how you win the lane. You can get the golden XP advantage that way. So you're not doing that. So you're just kind of sitting and farming and trying to avoid her, but she's doing the same thing to you. So nothing's really happening, if that makes sense. And your goal you want to put pressure on her. You want to be putting these abilities on her and forcing her to back off and forcing her to have low health and keeping her in this spot to be ganked. So she ran on you with stun. So that's... yeah. Okay, so why'd that happen? Well, you remember earlier when I told you we want to be watching out for those key abilities? And I told you that when she has stun, she has the advantage, and she's going to run up and try and force you to back off. And if you don't back off, she's just going to all-in you. So what happened here? She had stun. She ran right up to you. Oh, she had stun. She ran right up to you, and you didn't react to it at all. Right here. Yeah, right here. So look how far up you walk. So she was here, and you were here, and you walk up here to Q this minion. That you did not need to do that at all. You could have queued this minion from back here if you wanted to, right? There was no reason for you to be right here, and Annie sees that. Annie says, oh, Zoe's inting. So she puts her movement speed ability on and runs you down, and she has stun up. So even without stun up, you shouldn't have been here because you didn't need to be if you're only going for this minion. But especially if she has stun up, your goal is to get nowhere near her, and you walk from here to here. So that's, unfortunately, what happens is that Annie sees that, says, "Oh, nice," puts movement speed on and rushes you. So you are gonna take the brunt of the trade here in a minute. But that's okay. We want to learn from this. So this is an example of what happens when you don't pay attention to your opponent's key abilities. In this case, it's Annie's stun. You knew it was up, and you went right up to her, and she took advantage of that. And now you're chunked out, and now she has all the pressure in the world because she knows that if you step up again, you die. So she knows that you're not going to do that, and she can try and play with you here. And she's going to slow push the wave, smart, and take advantage of this chunking you out. Almost. So they think they're on dragon, so go check it. Because if you can catch them with your team and Annie's not there, that's huge. Annie's coming though, so be careful with Annie. No one's there, but you might have to fight the Annie. You got her caught out. That's a really good chunk. Annie flash, that's fine, you got the flash, you don't need to chase it. Oh, that's a good play. You get her? Nice. Okay, that's a really good play. That was a really good play. You flashed to collect hers and followed. So now what you want to do, your team is completely free, so that's fine. Just stay mid. There's no reason to go anywhere else. If your team was contested at dragon, I'd say rotate there, but they're not, so stay mid. Nasus is going to try and defend. Now you can poke Nasus out. So look, hold on, whoa. Level 8, level 5. Your goal is to poke this Nasus out of lane. He's here to collect the minions. He should not be leaving turret. If he leaves turret, you should kill him immediately. All you need to do is hit 1 E on him, EQ, half his health's gone. I'm not even kidding. You're 3 levels up on an Annie, or not, I mean, on a Zoe. If you EQ him, his health goes down to here. Then he's got to run away. So if he's stepping this far up, you want to walk right here, hit him with an E, do an if your R's up, do an RQ, if not, do a regular Q and kill him. You also have not warded anywhere yet. So now that you've finally killed Annie and Annie's gone, this gives you free reign to start walking to bushes, clearing wards, getting down the river, going into the jungle to place a ward. Nasus came here, so maybe you don't go into the jungle, but all the other routes are still available to do. Now in this case, we can see, because when I'm on the replay, there's a ward here, but you wouldn't necessarily know, but you should assume. It's already 8 minutes into the game. You should assume that either the enemy jungler or the Annie has warded one of these 2 bushes so far, and you should be walking in them and checking them right now. Now that Annie's dead and you know you're safe to do so, you should be checking for wards and clearing wards. If you're not, so recap. You killed Annie and you got dragon. Your team's got a bunch of gold and pressure. You want to back and go to the store and spend that gold and make yourself stronger, right? So what you really want to do here is either A, chunk the Nasus out and kill the Nasus. B, shove this wave under tower, which makes all your minions go under tower, and the turret kills them, which means that Nasus and Annie get less XP and less gold. C, go check for wards in the bushes and kill them. Choose one of these 2 things or 2 of these things and then back, right? Because you want to push these advantages, but then you also need to get back to base so you can actually buy your stuff. What I would do is I would probably try to chunk Nasus out. If not, I just kill the wave, and then I run to a bush, check it, and back. And that's what I would do here. You want to kill this wave ASAP, because you don't want... Nasus should not be able to push you off of it. He's level 5. You're level 8. You can't... Unless you just walk up to him and stand right next to him, he can't do anything to you. He doesn't even have his ult yet. Okay, so at least you're backing. Like, backing's fine, but you want to shove the wave before you back. So see how you didn't shove the wave? I want to watch Annie. So I'm going to watch Annie. I want to show you something, what happens. So she's going to walk back to wave. And look at that. She just got a cannon and 3 minions worth of golden experience that she should not have gotten, because you should have been able to shove this wave and kill her wave earlier, which means your wave, remember from before, would have walked under tower, and the tower would have killed them all, or Nasus would have had to stay to collect the XP, which means Annie would have gotten none of it. So that was an advantage you could have had over your laner, but now we're not gonna have, because you just backed instead of clearing the wave first. So again, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. Like, my job is to point these things out to you, like teach you some things that you're not seeing. So this is one thing that you're not seeing, is that if you had shoved this wave and pushed it under the tower would have killed all the minions. Annie would not have got them. Annie would have less gold and less XP, and you would have an even bigger advantage over her, that's basically the name of the game, is how many advantages can you get over your laner until it turns into rotating in team fights later on. So this is like stage 1, like the laning phase, right? You want to get as far ahead of Annie, and that's by getting you up or getting her down, or both if you can. And then after that, you want to transition that lead to roaming, to objectives, to pressure, to team fights, and that's how you win a game. Okay, so you see Annie. That's a good chunk. Nice job. A good bubble. Nice job. Nice job. You're gonna have to protect him now. Zach's going in. Going with him. Oh, your Riven's clueless. Okay, that's really bad. So this Riven sucks, basically. But so I don't necessarily think the Zach play was terrible there. I think it was terrible because the Riven didn't come. If the Riven noticed that you guys were fighting and she came earlier and rotated, I think you guys win this 3v3 pretty hard. Nasus had no health, Annie had half health, and the Wukong is beating the Riven, but he's not going to solo carry if all 3 of you are there. Because if Riven comes sooner, then Nasus goes in with Riven, and they can only focus one of them. So even if they still focus the Nasus, Riven just killed Annie. Zach. I meant to say Zach. I meant to say Nasus. Riven just killed Annie or Nasus. You're going to chunk the next person, and you and Riven clean up. But since she didn't come, Zach basically just got 1v3 and died right away. So now, obviously, you want to back off. Riven needs to leave now because there's nothing to do anymore. Go back to mid lane if you can. There's nothing to get here. So there's no reason to be here. You know Zach already took his blue. This is worthless to you. It takes you too long to get. You have a minion wave under tower and a minion wave coming in. You need this. Annie's up top. You just lost an advantage to Annie in the sense that she just got golden XP from that kill. So you want to go back to mid lane and get that back ASAP. Your goal is to get that back. I don't know what you're doing. Okay, trying to kill Wukong. This is...
Shut down.
Okay, so you kill the Wukong, and I'm glad you killed the Wukong, but I want you to see all the minions in gold that you missed. So let's do this. Back to you. Okay, so we're gonna watch the scoreboard. So how much gold do you have right now? How can I check? I know the way to check that. All right. Anyway, so we're gonna watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. All right, so we know how many minions are there, and obviously there was 2 waves of 6. So there was 6 here, one's already died, and there's 6 more back there. Now we're gonna go up here. Wukong dies. You show up, and you kill the Wukong. Okay, so you got 274 gold. That was your goal for killing Wukong. 274. Let's see how many minions you end up missing, including the cannon. Okay, so you got 2. So you missed 10 minions, including a cannon minion, and you missed all the gold and all the XP and all the pressure on the tower. You would have gotten a tower plate if you just went here and pushed, possibly 2 tower plates. You missed all this golden experience for 1 kill on a Wukong that, granted, you gotta shut down. He was, I think, 3-1, and then he killed Riven, you killed him, so he's 4-2. But I'm trying to point out that wasn't worth it. You would have got so much, you would have got more gold, more XP, and more pressure if you just stayed mid, killed all the minions, pushed the wave, and got tower plates. This also would have given you pressure on Annie, which is going to allow you to now roam and go somewhere else. So again, I'm glad you got the kill top, but when you went top, when you were here and you started going all the way through the jungle, at that point in time, you had no idea that Wukong was going to dive. You got really, really lucky that when you were about on the minimap, about right here, Wukong happened to win a trade and then decided to, oh, since I won the trade, I'm just going to keep going all in. And he all in the Riven. If Wukong didn't do that, you not only would have wasted all the time walking through the jungle for no reason, but you would have still missed everything that you missed because you wouldn't have been there. Right? So I'm trying to teach you about consistent plays. So a big part of climbing in League is trying to find consistency, because you're gonna have 4 random teammates every single game. Sometimes they'll be good, sometimes they're gonna suck. You can't control that. Sometimes they're fine players, but they have a bad game. You can't control that. The thing you can control is the decisions you make and the probability those decisions have of being successful and giving you an advantage. If play A has a 95% chance of giving you an advantage and play B has a 30% chance, especially if play A's advantage is equal or greater than play B's, you never, ever, ever want to do play B, ever. Because either it's going to give you the same advantage anyway that play A would have given you, or it's going to put you behind because it's not going to happen, because the chance that it happens is lower. So this lane play of going back to lane, getting the minions that were here, pushing it, and getting a tower plate or two, that is like, you can always, in this situation where Annie was gone, you can always do that, and that is a guaranteed advantage. The Wukong play, where you started here and walked all the way through the jungle, all the way here, and only when you got to here did Wukong actually decide to dive, and then that's why you were able to clean it up. That is a very low probability play, because when you started walking, Wukong wasn't even diving yet. He was trading Riven in the middle of the lane. See where the minions are? They were still up here, trading like normal when you were starting to walk all the way through the jungle, all the way down here. There was no indication he was going to dive yet. He did dive, which is good, but even though he dove, you still got less gold and XP than if you just walked mid and killed all the minions and killed the tower plates. So, again, I'm trying to point out, I'm glad you got the kill, but this was like there was a much better play that was really obvious to make. And maybe it wasn't obvious to you before, but I want that to be obvious to you now, that like this is the play you should always make. And a big part of climbing is making the play that's more consistent and giving you an advantage, because the biggest thing you can try and get in League is consistency. It's really hard to get consistency. It's a team-based game, and the teams are always random. By definition, that means there's zero consistency at all. So the more consistent plays you can make, and the higher chance you give yourself of getting that consistent lead and always being in a leading position, gives you a higher chance of winning the game. That's a really good play by you. She overstepped and you chunked her. She might die there. Nice. Okay. Where are you going now? Okay. So, you made a really good play. Annie overstepped. You recognized that, and you punished her for it and literally one-shot her. So, really good play by you. Why did you leave the lane? You have all these minions, you have all these tower plates, and you have a Nasus who is 3 levels behind you. You can check the scoreboard and see his level. You are not afraid of anything at all right now. And there's no dragon up. There is literally zero reason for you to leave this lane. So again, I'm not trying to diminish. You made a good play. Annie overstepped. You noticed it, took advantage of it, and killed her. That was an amazing play. But the kill itself... Oh, maybe this is... Okay. So, the kill itself is not the advantage. The advantage is getting Annie out of lane, which allows you to kill the minions, to put pressure on, to kill these turrets, to go into the jungle and take jungle camps and put vision down, to ruin this Nasus life while Annie can't defend him. That's the advantage you're getting by killing Annie. The kill itself is worth basically nothing at this point. Because, like, yeah, you get a little bit of XP, you get a little bit of gold. That's not gonna get you a new item. That's not gonna make you stronger. That's not what's getting you ahead. What gets you ahead is now that Annie's gone, all the extra pressure you have as a solo mid laner, and she cannot answer you for 25 whole seconds. This is an entire wave that should be yours. This is a tower play that should be yours. This jungle should be yours. You should be, after you get the minions in the plate, you should be walking into this jungle, putting some wards down, and pressuring Nasus, and keeping Nasus out. You should come back, get another wave that would have come up by now, get a second tower plate, and all that time, it keeps your wave on the minimap pushed, which means the tower is going to kill it, and Annie is going to lose all of it. All of this stuff is the advantage you get from killing Annie. The kill itself means nothing. It's what you do after the kill that actually puts you ahead and wins you the game. So by you killing Annie and then just running off in the jungle and doing nothing, that's really, really, really bad, because you might as well have just not killed Annie. Obviously, it's still better. She's not getting gold. You got some gold next week from the kill. She's not going to level up. But it's almost like if your advantage on like a 0 to 10 scale, the kill itself gives you like 2 points. What you do after the kill gives you the other 8. Right? So what you really want is those other 8 points right now. You're missing all of those by not taking advantage of this. And I want you to see this, because this is really huge. And like this, I'm not even kidding, might have lost you this game, because I'm sure that it looks like Nasus is going to eventually scale, because he's not doing great, but he's not getting behind relative to the Zac. The Wukong is crapping on the Riven, so she's going to get strong. Your bot lane's like meh. Like, they're technically ahead, but not by a lot, so I'm not going to count on them to carry. So it's probably going to end up being the Zoe, who's level 9 already, that ends up trying to carry this game, and you've missed a few of these advantages already. Like, think about it this way. All the little things I've been mentioning, if you add them all up, you'd be level 10 right now. You'd have more gold. You'd probably have an extra item. Annie would be further behind, because she would have died here, lost all this golden XP, lost all this pressure in the enemy jungle. You're going to put Nasus behind by pressuring the jungle and making sure he can't farm and putting wards down to track him. This lead snowballs out of control and affects the whole map if you take advantage of it. This individual kill does nothing. It's the snowball and the pressure and the lead after the kill that lets you win the game. So I really want to point that out, because I'm not exaggerating. This probably is what lost you the game, like doing this kind of stuff. Like, sure, you can look at bot now, but this is such a low percentage play that's really not going to end up doing much, where you've now missed all this golden XP. Zac is going to take all your turret plates. You can't get those anymore. Like, this is awful for you. This is really, really bad for you. You've essentially gained nothing out of that play now that you like killed Annie on. And just reset back to where it was before. Because, like, so, yeah, plates are gone, but Zac got all the gold. Zac's a tank. He doesn't need the gold. You need the gold to one-shot people. Zac's going to be tanky either way. He scales much better than you do. You need the gold to scale in this game. He does not. I don't blame him for taking it. Like, he should have, because you left, he should have taken it. But, I'm going to die here. Okay, good. Because you left the lane, he should have taken it. But I'm trying to point it to you, like, you shouldn't have left lane, you should take it yourself. Again, I'm not trying to be, like, too in-depth on it, but I really want to get these core concepts across, because if you can implement all these things I'm telling you into your game, you're never gonna lose laning phase again, especially in this elo. Like, you're gonna have to get up to mid to high gold to like low plat before you start losing laning phase again, because these people just, all the things I'm telling you, if you notice, they're not doing it either. When someone kills your laner, they're walking around randomly too, and they're not taking advantage of themselves. They're not putting wards down. They're not clearing wards. All the stuff I'm telling you to do, your teammates and enemies are not doing either. Like, it's a completely even playing ground right now. So if you can be the one that starts doing these things, you're going to consistently win lane every single game, like way harder than you are now, and actually use that lead to affect the game, and you'll start winning a lot more games, no matter what champions you're playing. Don't back off the Nasus. Yeah, see how much damage you did? I was literally just going to say that. You started to back off. He's level 7. You're 10. That was just your Q. That was a Q auto. If you eat him, I literally think he dies because you E-ignite him and he's dead. So don't back off. This is the same thing I was telling you earlier when Nasus came, like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago now. When Nasus came into the lane earlier and you kind of backed off a bit and weren't poking him, poke the crap out of him. It's a Nasus jungle with no tank items and he's 3 levels down. You can literally one-shot him if you E-auto Q ignite. Like, he should just die. So yeah, he has to walk away now. He can't do anything to you.
Turret plating will fall soon.
I'm going to speed up a little bit because I'm thinking I'm just going to end up saying the same things over and over, I'm sure. And I want to get to the mid-game / team fight. Good all-in attempt. Even though you didn't get her, you forced. Be careful of her stun. You have no mana. Even though you didn't get her, you forced her off and wasted a flash. So that's fine. You walked into stun range. She beat you up. You're gonna want it back. Okay, good. I don't know what Zach's doing. Zach dies Annie here. Okay, good. Riven came. Alright, nice. So Riven came. That's good. Annie's pissed off at her Wukong, which is also really good. Still being the team. What's this? This is really good. Finish this tower. Nice. Now what do? This is huge. Okay. So you got your first tower. This opens up the map for you. And what I mean by that is that you, oh my god. You now have the entire map open because you can leave lane and pressure. And a lot of the time when people tell you to like leave lane, I think players assume it means like, oh, just like roam right to top or roam right to bot. It also means to roam into the jungle. So what you really want to be doing here is screwing this Nasus over. You want to make this Nasus' life horrible. If he can't farm jungle camps, he's going to become extremely useless. He's going to get behind. He's not going to get tanky like he needs to get. The lower level he is, the less damage his smite does. The lower level he is, the less damage his smite does, which means that your Zac is going to win smite fights for objectives. The further behind he is, the less he can help his 2 lanes, which means it's going to accelerate your lead over Annie, because you're way ahead of Annie. 2 whole levels, a few kills, a lot of gold, experience, a turret. You are way ahead of Annie, and the way she gets back is by you overplaying and by Nasus helping out. If you're going to put Nasus behind, that's not going to happen anymore. However, that also means you want to go top and bot. So the way I see top lane, the Wukong is decimating the Riven, right? There's no reason for you to go top lane and help that out, because even if you get Riven a kill or 2, Wukong's still ahead of her, and he's still going to kill her the second it turns back into a 1v1. So don't go top. What you want to do is go bot and try and get your Caitlyn some kills over the Lucian, because you know Lucian will drop off. And Caitlyn's not that far behind him this game. They're pretty even right now. So if you can get the Caitlyn ahead of the Lucian, she's going to scale really hard and he's not. And that's going to put your whole bot side ahead of their bot side. And then, like I said earlier, if you're pressuring that jungle and keeping Nasus behind, your jungler should be ahead of their jungler. So now you have 4 people that are higher and only 1 person that's lower. And they have 4 that are lower and only 1 that's higher, if that makes sense. So that's how you can put an advantage on your team to try and win the game. It's a team game, right? So winning lane is step 1. Think about it this way. Winning lane allows you to help your teammates. Helping your teammates wins you the game. Winning lane does not win you the game. It allows you to take the next steps, but winning lane on its own does nothing towards winning the game. Winning the game depends on late game objective fights, team fights, and if someone's an idiot and gets caught out with no vision if the game gets really, really late. So that being said, I want to see what you do. That's fine. You're good. You're in the jungle. This is fine. Place some vision. Inspect people. This is all fine. And now go help bot. Perfect. This is really good. Tower for bot. Give them more pressure. Do the same. Go back to mid. You have a wave to push out. Riven died again, but again, that's okay. She's going to die. She's just worse than the Wukong player. It happens. You do not have flash. Okay, so that is the unfortunate part about playing an immobile mage, is that usually most immobile mages, I'm counting Zoe because even though she has her R, it goes back to the same spot, so you can't really get away with it. They have a stun or a CC ability that helps them distance themselves and get away. If you miss that ability, you're usually dead when you get ganked like that. So just unfortunate. If you hit your E, you would have lived. If you didn't, you died. And that's as straightforward as it was. What you could have done to fix that is that the whole game, you have not been placing vision in your own lane, and you have not bought a single control ward. So this is another thing that I see a lot of either friends or people that I talk to when they're in like silver or below, even gold and below, they don't ward nearly enough. So Nasus walked through that bush. If you have this much of a lead on Zoe, where you're like 2 levels up, you're pushing the wave in, you have the tower, there is zero reason why this bush should ever be unwarded by you. Between your regular ward and your control ward that you should be buying, you should have 2 on you at this point in time. This should be warded. If you had warded that bush, you would have seen Nasus and you would have lived right there. So this is a very like real example of why warding is important, because not only did you die because you weren't warding, but because you weren't warding, Annie had this bush warded almost the entire game, which meant that Zac could never gank from here because you never went and cleared it because you never checked. So not only did Annie get protected the whole game by warding this bush, you just died because you didn't ward it. And worse off, you died, which means that you gave over shutdown gold. You gave over your pressure in lane. You're going to let Annie free farm now, which before you would have been putting pressure on her here and keeping her from free farming. So she's going to catch back up now and she shouldn't be able to. And worst of all, you gave the kill to Nasus, the one guy we said we want to stop from scaling and keep him from behind, because he's going to scale naturally and we need to stop that. So this was almost the exact opposite what we wanted to do. We gave up all our advantages, we took away our pressure, and we fed the guy that we don't want to scale. And all that, you didn't mechanically play it wrong, right? Like once Nasus shows up, like I said, you either hit it or you don't. It happens, right? There's nothing you did wrong mechanically. What you did wrong was not ward the entire game and not buy control. That's what you did wrong, and that's important. Shut down. And unfortunately, since you're the strongest person on your team, once you die, the other team's just going to collapse and kill everyone else because they can't do anything about it. So even though this isn't directly your fault, it's indirectly your fault that your team's dying now, because normally with a gold distribution, you are the strongest person. So if you're not there, they can't do anything. Again, this just comes from not warding. You just you know they're in this area because they just walked here and you face checked a bush that had a Nasus in it who killed you again. So this is where the game falls apart. So I want you to see this. This is how important warding is in this game. And this is why a lot of people stay silver even though they have the mechanics to go higher. Especially on a squishy champ like Zoe, that if she gets caught, for example, if you were Annie and you face checked, you spam your abilities, you stun Nasus, and you run away and you survive, because that's the type of champ she is. On Zoe, you can't do that. So on Zoe, you get face checked, you hit E, you hope he doesn't kill you in 2 shots, and you run. So maybe Annie is helping you out a little bit in that sense, that she's more forgiving than Zoe is, where if you make a mistake, it's easier to kind of fix it in the moment and get out okay. Whereas Zoe, it's a lot harder to do that. And that could be a reason to keep playing Annie for now until we iron out some of these more macro issues and this just general game sense and game knowledge, things like that. But like I'm looking at your KDAs on your Annie games and they are way better than your other games, like on your OPGG right now. So I'm thinking that it's not just Annie. I'm thinking you are just getting better at the game, and maybe I just need to see a more updated game from you to see some of these things in the future. But another example, so you just died twice in the span of maybe like what, 3 or 4 minutes for the same reason, just lack of warding. You didn't ward the bush all game, which meant you got ganked, and you face checked a bush which happened to have an Nasus in it. And now, same idea, you lost your pressure, you lost your gold, you're not going to be able to do anything on the map, and the Nasus is the one that got the kill, the one that we don't want to get the kills. You are no longer the strongest person in the game. Wukong is probably stronger than you now, and Nasus is going to scale pretty soon to be stronger than. He can already 1v1 you, but I think in a team fight, you still are stronger because you can one-shot the entire bottom side of the map still. But he's going to start outscaling you soon. This is going to get real messy. So I'm going to speed through this because I honestly think the game falls apart right here. Because now that you gave away your lead, your teammates aren't going to really be strong enough to carry this game. Yeah, Wukong's way stronger than you are now. And you mechanically you played that fight pretty well. That's fine. That's a good attempt. You want to try and pick him off if you can. Careful of this because, like I said, you want to be putting pressure on, but you don't have support there. So that's what I was just saying. So none of your teammates are with you, and you're no longer really far ahead. Like you're level 12, which is fine, but Wukong's 13 and Nasus 11. You can no longer one-shot the Nasus, and the Wukong is stronger than you are. So, especially if you don't have strong teammates around you, you can't just walk on your own right now because you're just gonna get caught out and killed. Especially with the Wukong here, like you just lose the 1v1 straight up against Wukong at this point in the game. So this is good, but 1, 2, 3. Dead zone. So you just got really confident, really cocky. You have your bot lane here, but they're not really doing that well. Like the relative strength of Annie Wukong is way bigger, especially because you didn't see Nasus, but they have an Nasus here too, is way bigger than your bot lane. You just went way up. You had 0 vision anywhere. Let's show that. So you have no vision here, you have no vision here, and you walked way up exposing yourself, right? Your vision ends, if you can draw like an imaginary line, oh my god, all the way through there. Your vision is all behind this, right? You have vision equivalent to here, and then going out past the map, so it's like right here where your vision is, right? So you have no idea who's here, you have no idea who's here, you have no idea who's here, end up being a Nasus, and yet you still went this way. This is called collapsing into no vision, or collapsing into darkness, or overextending, or overpushing, whatever you want to call it. This is really bad. This is just straight up in. So this is what happens when, in other games, when maybe you just recalled and you're at your base and you see like the stupid Jin who's walking all the way up here into enemy territory with no yeah, that's what you just did. So you were just the stupid Jin who walked all the way up the lane to try and put pressure and poke people out, and you tunnel vision on the people in front of you and didn't realize you have absolutely 0 vision all around you, and you get collapsed on and die. This just throws the game. The enemy's gonna snowball out of control right here. Because this is just, they're gonna fall through, they're gonna kill all 3 of you. Your 2 teammates are still in base, but it's a support in jungle, they can't do anything. The enemy's just gonna run through, take objectives, take Baron, and this is where it's gonna get lost. So I'm gonna probably honestly stop right around here, because like I can tell what's gonna happen next. They might misplay and they might throw and you might come back temporarily, but the momentum is in their favor now after that play. So the big takeaway, focus on 2 things in this video. The first is the laning tips I gave you, and there's the tips on how to get better advantages and more consistent advantages in lane. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is all of these different throws you keep doing and not taking advantage of the pressure and the map and overextending and not warding. That stuff's going to keep your lead. So my tips to you in lane is going to make you get a much better lead. My tips to you in the overextending, the warding, the etc., that's going to keep your lead and make sure you don't lose it. Hopefully this helps, dude. Hopefully you got something out of the video and I was able to teach you a few things and point some things out that make you think about it differently now. Keep improving. Like I said, I'm looking at your OPGG. You are on a 6 win streak right now with Annie, so great job. Keep going. You seem to like Annie. You're doing better with her. I would stick with her for now. Annie is a simpler mechanical champ to play, and she's a lot more forgiving with her slight tankiness and her stun and her movement speed. If you get caught out, you can usually stun someone and run away. But what that does is it allows you to focus on the macro, the gameplay, the mechanics, and all the other stuff around that's not specific to the champion. The way that I'd probably describe League best is that you have to learn the champions and you also have to learn the game. Playing a simpler champion like a Garen, an Annie, a Master Yi, just a champion that's not super mechanically hard, that allows you to, hey, if you have like 100% brain capacity, and normally you have to do a 50-50 between champ and game. If you're playing someone like Akali, you might have to go like 80 champ and 20 game. If you're playing someone like Annie, you can go 25-30 champ and like 75 on the game. And it allows you to focus on the game and learn the game a lot better. So I would definitely recommend that. Keep playing Annie if you're doing well and you like her. Your Zoe mechanics aren't terrible. Actually, I would say most of your mistakes were just from decision making, not necessarily misplaying mechanics. At least for... You're in Silver 4. Like, I think your mechanics are better than the average Silver 4 player, if I'm being completely honest. It was just a lot of decision-making mistakes, which you'll get better at that over time. Like, the best way to get better at decision-making is just to play the game more. You'll naturally start to notice patterns. Like, oh, whenever I step up here with no vision, I always die. Oh, whenever I die in this situation, I'm the strongest person on my team always dies afterward, and we throw the game, or etc., etc. Like, you'll start to notice patterns and things that happen just by playing the game more. So I think it's completely natural to be where you're at right now. Good luck, dude. I wish you the best. Give me an update in like a week or 2 if you're making progress and you want another video, or you just want to show me how far you've come and what you've learned. Keep playing Annie. You're in promos right now, so I hope you get to Silver 3 in the next day or 2. And just keep having fun. That's the most important part. If you're grinding this game out, but you're not having fun, it's not worth playing anymore. Like, it's great to try and get better, but you just want to make sure that you're always enjoying the game.